Good afternoon, Columbus, Georgia. Welcome to the Mark LaJoye podcast. So we've got a special guest on here, and Sarah Smith is always my special guest, but she's my co-host. Say a few words there, Sarah.
Hello, I'm here again, back for another episode.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
This thing is really we're doing wonderful on this podcast. We're getting a lot of exposure. There's a lot of people that are tuning into it because I'm running into people all over town, and it's like, hey, keep it up, man. This is good, So we're building the program and building it up, and we're getting popular, getting a lot of people out there that are watching the program. But we got a special guest on today, and that's Eric Woodson. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good, Mark. How y'all doing?
Awesome. It's great to have you on board. So tell us a little bit about Eric. What has Eric done in his past?
In the past, I hope you don't want to go into like ancient history, but
the program ain't long enough for that. But
I got to this area on the military program, Fort Benning. I retired out of the military. We came back down this area. I was married to a girl from the Pittsview SEAL area.
Not Pittsview.
Pittsview, yes. Dreaded Pittsview. If you blink, you've missed it on the way south. So anyway,
Absolutely.
No, it's a good area.
Yeah.
You know. But she came back, and I can't. She always gets mad when I mention where she works, but I'll just tell you that she works in one of the tallest buildings, or the tallest building in Columbus, if that gives you any indication where she works at. So, quack quack. I got into law enforcement over at Auburn University, and was with another department or two in my time in law enforcement, and came to the realization that after 20 years in the military, that maybe I didn't have the right mindset or the right amount of patience just to put up with what law enforcement had to put up back then. So I made a change, came back to Fort Benning, did some contract work, worked overseas for a while, and had two sons that were one was on the way and the other one was already here, and then they needed a dad. So I pretty much kind of stayed here in the area,
Yeah.
Around 2015, no, not 2015. Earlier than that, maybe 2012, 2013, after my time in law enforcement, I started hearing about, people complaining about being robbed and things stolen from them and drugs and stuff, and bumped into some people, and we came up with the idea that, kind of a military way of looking at stuff, and I'm not going to get into the, all the little details about the military stuff, but the neighborhood watches were, something that had been used before, but we had the idea of starting it, but bringing it to Facebook so that the information could be, so let's say you got a neighborhood watch in Salem, Alabama,
Right.
or North Phoenix City. What's going on in your area could be shared with other people, and they could say, hey, this same stuff's going on over here.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of the neighborhood watch was you meet your neighbors.
Right.
And then I'll go back to the military. I'm sorry I got to. But in the military, you hold a piece of ground. You kind of know who's to your right, friendly forces, left, friendly forces, who's behind you, who's in front of you. And you just meet your neighbors, and you kind of agree to kind of look out for each other. That's all it is. Exchange phone numbers.
Yeah. So I remember when this started, the neighborhood watch thing started over there for you guys, and it got pretty popular. You guys you caught a few burglars and stuff over there.
We shared information. We had our scanner listeners back when you could.
Yeah, when you could
before all the encrypted systems came out.
Exactly.
We could never listen to Opelika. They were one of the first law enforcement in the area to go to encrypted.
Right.
So, but Lee County, Russell County. We could hear stuff for a while. There were a little bit of Columbus that we could hear, but they went encrypted or went to a higher.
Yeah, we went to the 8 meg band. This is what it was, 800 meg.
So at some point, I guess all the chiefs got together, and I don't know if this was said or not, but they were like, well, if the good citizens can be listening to what we're doing and what we're talking about, the bad guys can probably be listening to what we're saying, and we don't want to give them any information. So it's pretty much, I think with laptops now, there's not a whole lot of information that can be gotten.
Yeah, but you guys if I can remember, I think the sheriff over in Russell County gave you some accolades too, because you guys isn't that true? You were sharing information back and forth? And
we shared some stuff. There's been bumped, we've stepped on some toes, and we've had people, there was stuff about, they want to be wannabe cops. Why don't they go to the academy and all this stuff? And
of course, you're going to have your naysayers. It's always like that.
Some people say, they want to be news reporters. Why don't they go to journalism class and all this stuff? But the bottom line is, you got that First Amendment. People have a right to talk.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They have a right to talk. They have a right to share information. They have a right to be comfortable in their neighborhoods. And, so all this was sharing information and getting your neighbors to, when you couldn't be there to look out for your stuff, your neighbor's going to see something. It's just like now. It's like look out in New Mexico, right? Mm-hmm. They're at a standstill with the grandmother being kidnapped or whatever.
I want to talk about that too. So
they're asking for any help that they can get. Look on your rear. Did you see something? Ring doorbells.
Yeah.
Look at your security systems. Give us the piece of information that we're missing, and help us out. So they're begging for it.
Right.
But it hasn't always been that way. There's good with the bad. But the bottom line is, there was people that thought, we've got to be blessed by somebody to have a neighborhood watch. I remember there was one mayor that I'm not going to name that was all about neighborhood associations. And I was like, look, we don't care about how tall the grass is or whether, you have a RV in your parking lot or something, or you changed your shutters. We're talking about people breaking into houses. And you go back in history and look at places like Hilton Avenue or some of these other affluent, like Green Island Hills. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember a certain Chinese restaurant owner being beat down in his house in a certain neighborhood, and everybody was aghast. And if it could happen in this neighborhood, that's right. It can happen anywhere.
Yeah, and crime is... Look, crime has only gotten worse. We talk about crime, and that's one of my primary initiatives as a mayor in Columbus. And we talked about this when I ran for sheriff, was our 5-step crime reduction strategy. And we have beat this into detail. A lot of people will ask the question, they go, well, what are you representing? The other ones are saying this. Yeah, I said, but they're not detailing their plan. And you and I, being law enforcement, we know how to do a detailed plan when it comes to, and military, when it comes to one operation that you're going to do. It's like an op order, right? You do an op order, we know exactly who, what, when, where, and why, right? The old, 5 W's and 4 W's and a how, Right. But we already knew exactly what the mission was going to be. But you guys were, I have to say that for this area, you're the ones that started all this. You guys started this neighborhood watch thing, and it kind of got it going, and you got accolades. And I remember people calling, hey, something looks suspicious over here, and they got deployed over there. I think it was really helping the sheriff's office and the police department immensely, getting there, because everybody knows that their response times, they're slow, or they're not getting there on time. And by the time they get there, the bad guy's gone.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for all the areas. I know that in the area the basic area I lived in, back in the day, you could only count on 1, 2, maybe 3 deputies if you had a supervisor come down in that certain area, because it was one of the fastest growing areas. And now you could probably count on 5, 6 at least. And, you can see a presence out there, but it's still a lot. I mean, they're still, the old military saying, they're still as busy as a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. I mean, they're going from call to call to call, but it's not as bad as it was. So I don't know, but it hasn't gone away. Looking out for, I got back in the church about 3 years ago. A good friend of mine, Steve, over in Phoenix City, saw me at a football game, and it's nothing more than looking out for your neighbor. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's all it is. You watch my military. You watch my back, I'll watch your back.
Right.
you can't, how are you going to fault that? Now, I'm not saying, you know, you see some girl selling Girl Scout cookies and you go running out the door and put her in handcuffs or something. We're not talking about that. But, you know, you're going to know what's right for your neighborhood. You're going to know what's strange. You're going to know who belongs there. And you're going to, you know, and if you see something, there's no reason you can't call and say, hey, can we at least get somebody to come check this out? You know?
Is the watch program still at the point it is when you guys started? Is already kind of tapered off now?
I think along with everything, some people still follow it. I don't think there's as much participation of sharing of information, but it seems like as things happen, let's just take the Anaya Blanchard thing years ago of the girl snatched up on the streets of Auburn.
Right.
You know, all the parents with like daughters and stuff at Auburn and some of the stuff that, you know, there was the guy that was molesting female students on the buses and stuff. When stuff like that, like the reason I was hired at Auburn University back in 2001 was 1, 9/11, and 2, there was some sexual assaults at the university that I was told 6 at the time. 3 of those turned out not to be true. They were girls that wanted to go to other schools. But the bottom line was there was such a uproar of the school's not safe and all that. Money came from somewhere for 15 new officers, and I was one of the 15. So I was, in a way, happy that there was a reason for the hiring because it gave me a job and stuff. And, you know, some of my relatives loved it because, you know, football tickets, basketball tickets and everything, you know, were in my grasp and stuff. And they're big Auburn fans and stuff. I think as things happen and it comes and it goes.
Right.
You know, just like, you know, they have a new chief here in Columbus. And I think from by and large, from everything I hear from on the street and from people that will talk a little bit, that they're so happy that there's a new chief and a new way of doing stuff. And I think there's some progress being made. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't get to see all the numbers. I don't know the statistics and everything, but my sense is from a morale standpoint that things are better than it was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, we're starting to pick up some anomalies now. We're picking up some complaints. I heard the other night at a political event that that one particular person was at an accident scene, and it took them an hour and 45 minutes to get there. We're starting to see a little slack off. Now, I know there were high expectations of Stoney Mathis coming down here, but I'm going to say this. I worked for Freddie Blackman. He was my supervisor. I know exactly how he is. I know exactly how he's not. And when you're at the bottom of the floor, a concrete floor, you can't go any lower than you were at. So anything that came about was going to be an improvement. Probably, you know, just way out there. It would have been a hell of an improvement, you know. And I really don't know if it was the major improvement that everybody thought it was going to be. One of the things that really threw me off was that statistically, we know that how they're reporting the crimes at Part 1 crimes and all the rest of the crimes is that the city council here in Columbus, every time that either Stoney Mathis or the sheriff walked up there, matter of fact, they just had a live briefing or some kind of recorded briefing from WTVM or RBL, it was the other day, and they were talking about how, you know, the crime statistics and how effective it's been and all that kind of stuff. And I said, you know, if you got 40 murders, we're not being effective. Because I remember when being in the police department here, when I started out, we had a significant gang problem. I mean, I'd be answering one call here, and 200 feet on the next block over, we had a drive-by shooting going on. But we had a mayor, and you probably know who I'm talking about. I'll just mention the initials, TT.
Yes, Miss TT and I had many a go around.
Yeah. And she said, we don't have a significant gang problem in Columbus.
Yeah, let me paraphrase a few things that were in the news during that time. These crime statistics or these senseless acts are due to the heat.
Oh my gosh.
Due to the heat. They're due to risky behavior.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And they're due to the gun culture.
Oh, there we are.
Some of the things that have come out of politicians' mouths down through the years stick with you. And then those three things will the heat, risky behavior, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to take my family to dinner downtown in Columbus, and we're going to have a nice meal, maybe downtown at a restaurant, and maybe we decide to take a walk and just to walk off dinner or something. And we get robbed on the Riverwalk or something like that, or have a gun stuck in my family's face. Is that risky behavior? I want to be somewhere in Columbus or something. I don't know. I take my family. There's been incidents and stuff. Let me take my family to shopping at Peachtree Mall.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a dangerous adventure.
And we have some shootings and stuff, or we have people running around the parking lot with guns and stuff. Is that risky behavior on my part for one to be out with my family and stuff, going for ice cream or something, and I've got to worry about, are we going to be involved in something like that? So, no, I didn't agree with it then. I created it's still out there on the internet, but I took there's a movie where you have Adolf Hitler in a bunker and the Russians are invading on him.
I've seen that.
And the generals are trying to explain why things are not going good. And we substituted all the things that were going on in Columbus. And we substituted, now we couldn't superimpose a certain person's image over top of Hitler. So Hitler was still there. But, the risky behavior, one of the ladies being upset in the video, and he doesn't know that you have your own personal gun, and it was hilarious. It really was, and it took about 20 minutes to do, and I was amazed that you could do something like that. And this was a good 10, 12 years ago. It made the rounds in Columbus, and some people had some really good chuckles. There were some people at the Ledger that saw it, and some journalists that saw it, and I'm pretty sure that the mayor at one time, she's probably seen it. It's still out there somewhere. I can't tell you where to find it, but it was just a little tongue-in-cheek, little poking a little fun at stuff that had been said. And when you say stuff in front of the microphone, it's out there for all time.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure you can.
I'm sorry. I was in the military. I'm a strong believer in the Second Amendment. I have a few firearms around my house if they haven't fallen in the lake or something, been lost. But and that's a joke. But
I know. I get it.
Saying that because we own guns or blah blah blah, that the gun culture is responsible for crime in our area, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Sarah, you've got a big family. Do you go downtown like you used to? I'm just curious.
No, we stay home a lot, or we go towards what is that? Callaway Gardens.
Yeah.
We go towards that direction, and we try to stay in the northern part of town for the most part.
Right.
But there are sometimes we like to go to the Riverwalk, like to ride our bikes, but yeah, it's not the same. Columbus has definitely. It's not as safe. My son always wants to ride his bike everywhere, and I'm just like, no, I get nervous. We had a shooting just the other night. A woman got shot, and I think someone else got injured that was with her.
Yeah. We just had another, I think there was a homicide that I just seen pop up on my phone today.
Yeah.
That happened, or they're investigating. I think people are not, the complaints that I hear from the people are they don't feel safe anymore. They don't, it wasn't like it used to be. I mean, I go down a Broad Street and, the family, because there's a few restaurants I like going down there. And, it's just not safe. I mean, when the 16-year-old girl got killed and that guy on the river walked that time, he was walking his dog, I believe it was. The guy came across from the river. Is that what I remember?
Yeah, he shot him.
Yeah, he shot him.
Did they actually catch that? That was the young lady that was shot right there behind Synovus?
Yes, that one. That just happened last year.
I missed that they actually got that guy.
Oh, I think they did. I think there was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
There were 3 younger guys, obviously, that are involved in a lot of this gang activity. It's always the younger sect that's always there. But yeah, I believe they did get 2 or 3 suspects. I want to say it was 3 suspects, but they shot into that car. I mean, for what reason? I mean, the gang activity is horrible here. And the thing is, Stoney Mathis will get up there in front of the city council. And we found out, I know from a former person that was there in one of those positions, that the way they were reporting it, according to what was being said, was the old way that they were reporting crime, right? These status offenses was an archaic way of reporting. Well, it's the same system that we've had for forever and ever, but that system, and we work at the agencies I work in, is called the NIBRS Incident-Based Reporting System, right? And that National Incident-Based Reporting System, there are ways to report these crimes, but the city council going, when Stoney gets up there and they'll go, wow, man, we had 70 murders a couple of years ago and now we only got 50. And it's about how they're reporting it. They're running the numbers and it's not right the way they're doing it. And so when they do that, the city council will go up there and, yay, they'll take a victory lap and they go, look at how much we had reduction in crime. Well, that's not exactly the truth. They're not running the numbers. In Columbus PD, when I was there, we got, I don't remember what year that was now, but we got caught cooking the books one year. And when the national statistics came out, they didn't match up with what Columbus PD was reporting locally. So we cooked the books. We have a history of cooking the books. And a lot of people don't know that.
Well, I think about, just the concept, because we were talking about neighborhood watches, and it makes me think of what I'm actually doing a report on in my classes with community policing, because is that the same concept to say like neighborhood watches is like, hey, we're looking out for each other, but we can gather information in a way that leads to
an arrest
or, just what really happened at so-and-so street.
Right.
I just wonder, because I know you were talking about that with your crime reduction strategy as well.
Well, the crime reduction strategy, what it involves, right, is number one, organizing a larger group of individuals. So what we're going to do is create what's called a crime suppression task force. And those 5 steps are labeled out, that 5-step crime reduction strategy, where we're going to bring in folks from across the river, maybe as far as Lee County, bring them in, because all that crime doesn't stay in one place. It comes across the river from Lee County, whether it's dope being delivered here or it's being transported back across. So I want to my concept is to get at least 2 officers assigned to this task force. And we're going to create this task force, and it's going to have a significant effect on how we do everything through technology, through a number of personnel, and then just good old-fashioned police work, putting leather to the ground. And we haven't had that in a while. We haven't had that in a long while. But you guys, you created this Facebook posting.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty big.
You were very effective.
Well, we started out with the first group, it was called the Neighborhood Watchers.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into all the politics, but at some point I left that group.
Yeah.
Not happy with some decisions being made. And mainly back then, I had a lot of free time and a lot of energy. I was a lot younger. And I was fighting other people's battles. They would tell me, like one lady, they were all the way out in Salem, out in the middle of nowhere. And they had gang members came from Columbus and broke into a couple houses out there and stole a safe that had some of her memorabilia from her son that had been killed, I believe, in a automobile accident. And there may have been a gun or two in the safe, but she wanted the pictures, his high school yearbook and all this stuff. And the safe was eventually found, was spotted, and somehow she was contacted by civilians that it was in a neighborhood up, I want to say north of the hospital complex, something like 22nd, 23rd, 24th Street. And when I say it's one thing to go into that area during the day, when we got up there, we found the safe. The safe had been pried open and the gun was gone. A lot of the paperwork and stuff was still in the street, but it was right there on a street corner. And I'm just going to say it's the type of neighborhood that at nighttime I would not drive into unless, I was in an armored vehicle and, I had a bunch of my buddies with me.
Right.
And I was told that pretty much the police department at that time wouldn't roll into that neighborhood unless they went in force, which I can totally agree with from a matter of tactics. But that was one of the major things that showed that, what you just said a while ago was that river and that state line is not stopping anything from going back and forth. Mm-hmm. And if a safe can come all the way from Salem, Alabama,
that's crazy, all
the way to other side of the hospital up here, who knows what else is disappearing, cars and stuff. And the neighborhood watch is not going to erase crime, but at least it gives people a peace of mind to take some action and maybe cut down the percentage of chance that they're going to be a victim of something. And if something does happen, there's a chance that something will be seen that will give law enforcement, they'll get a piece here, a piece there, a piece here, put that puzzle together, and then it'll make some sense to somebody.
Right.
Well, I know that the group is really popular now on Facebook, the Neighborhood Watch. So I was wondering,
they're popular. We've got the Watch. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've had a finger, and other people have had fingers. We started groups out in Crawford, Alabama. Miss Benita, I'm sure, is still out there. Real nice lady out there. Everybody knows her. You got the mayor of Crawford, Miss Jeannie, out there. I always say hi to Miss Jeannie, the mayor of Crawford. She gets a big kick out of that. Places like Rosswood. I can't name all the places. My memory fails me, but I've been to a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
Met a lot of people, and a lot of other little groups. People got the same idea that we had and have started their own little, maybe it was a 1,500 member group. Maybe it made up to 5,000, whatever. I don't know. But there is probably 15 or 20 groups now, at least in the area, whether it be Phoenix City, Columbus, Phoenix City, surrounding area. But I would say the two main groups are still the Neighborhood Watchers,
right,
and the Watch.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's like, I know, like for me, I guess my perspective and my algorithm, it's taking a different kind of, I guess, direction. It's more like political, or there's still like reports of it. So I was just wondering, are you liking the direction it's going, or
because
what do you think?
The Watch has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I know
it's changed. It's changed for a number of reasons. People do have lives. We're not getting paid to sit on the computer. I have two teenage sons. One's at Auburn and the other one's at a local high school, and it takes a lot of my time to keep up with them. In fact, last week, my oldest had a car wreck and managed to get bit in the face by a German Shepherd in the same week. So we had a kind of a traumatic week. He's doing fine. But it takes, parents know that it takes, especially when you got kids with sports, it takes a lot of running around behind them.
Sarah knows that.
Yeah, baseball.
Sarah's got like 10 kids now.
I'm 4.
I'm just kidding.
Yes,
it's 4.
To be honest, the Watch has kind of branched. It's got some politics to it now, even though certain people get upset about it. But we have the animal rights people that, a lot of the pages won't let them post. And I said, as long as you don't blow the page up with every lost dog, every lost cat, every lost goldfish, we can deal with some lost animals.
Yeah.
And there has been some stories to go along with that. There's been stories of abuse, animal abuse here in the whether you call it the local dog pounds or the city dog pound or whatever it was, that animals were not being properly either put down or taken care of or whatever. And these ladies were up in arms about it. I know they have been to the city council and demanded that the city do what they're supposed to be doing. And I think that's great. I mean, that's what's important to these ladies. I go to church downtown, and I regularly see some ladies around the CSU buildings and stuff every morning. I don't care how cold it is. I don't care if it's snowing. They're out there feeding the cat population around CSU, the Riverwalk, the Ironworks and stuff. And I always joke that, one night somebody's going to disappear because the cats are going to get together and eat them. But everybody has, what's important to them. So we've kind of tried to live and let live without, I know people, I get the messages all the time. Why are you letting people post this? Why are you letting people post that? Why are you letting political posts about the old city manager, or why is this on there?
Mark LaJoye.
I was like, did you hear complaints about us?
He and I have had discussions over the phone.
I have not. So. I have yet to get a post complaining about you, Mark.
So I guess I'm guilty.
I try and go in and I try and look at the language and what's being said, and
Excuse me.
But sometimes I miss stuff. I just don't have the energy. And I don't have the staff like I used to have. People that they have stuff in their life now too.
You had a couple co-hosts that were monitoring it, wasn't for a while, wasn't it?
What's that?
You had a couple folks that were helping monitor it.
Yeah.
For a while.
They were admins. We had one lady that was actually she was a 911. What do you call them? Operators or dispatcher.
Yeah.
And I mean, they would talk about stuff that was happening. I had another lady that she kind of shared stuff on the side if it didn't make the news or whatever that she had heard about. But that got it closed down because somehow that got back to certain people at certain levels. And they said, it's kind of like a military thing. We don't want any information getting out that's not approved. So that kind of got shut down. But basically, stuff is going to get out. If people aren't being taken care of or they're the victims of stuff. I remember years ago, there's a lady in Phoenix City that got punched in the face. Mm-hmm. And they tried to whitewash it and make it look good and try to make it go away. And they tried not to let people talk about it, but it got talked about. And then in the end, I don't know, maybe it was 6 months later, Phoenix City wrote her a check for like $325,000 to make it go away, and it was justified. There was no reason for that lady to get punched in the face in her own living room. Right. So you're not going to keep stuff under the rug all the time, and
not with the advent of videos and these computer-driven things that we hold in our hands and all our stuff. There's just so much of it going on now. You got to watch your P's and Q's and how you handle business.
I think. Don't get me wrong. I think people have a right to be out and use their civil rights. There's certain things but at the same time, you can't take those civil rights and get in the way of law enforcement and try and say, well, I can do this, I can do that. I don't have to listen to you. I'm going to do what I want to do regardless. We just saw Florida pass a new law down there that said, you've got to give law enforcement at minimum 25 feet, and they're only going to ask you once. Move back.
Good law. I like that.
People are like, well, that's violating their rights to videotape. No. Well, if 25 feet is not that far.
No, it's not. It should be 50 feet.
I don't think that, if law enforcement is doing, people down south don't look at stuff the same way they do up north in some of these cities. At all. Because the last thing I'm ever going to do is get in my car and try and
follow a bunch of cops around.
Follow a bunch of cops around.
Yeah.
Or try and block them or Or if I am engaged by law enforcement and I'm told, get out of the car, which is a lawful command, been proven in the law that they can tell you to get out of your car, I'm going to try and drive away or possibly drive into one of them. I mean, if you're going to roll the dice and you want to fall on your sword so bad, make sure it's a hill worth dying for.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, make sure that there's a reason, you know, like something egregious or something.
Stolen elections.
That it's not just, you know, the mindset that I'm out here protesting and I don't have to listen to you.
Yeah, it's and that kind of segues into, you know, we talked about. I'm just curious on your opinion about what happened up in Minneapolis. I mean, I think I know what you're going to say, but I'd like to hear it from your side.
You're talking about the lady or the man?
Both.
Well, there's a lot I don't understand.
But the way they presented the cases, that the opposition out there presented the cases was really, you know, it was scripted. Oh, she was just minding her own business. She was going through the neighborhood, going to pick up her kids, and that wasn't even the story at all. It wasn't even close.
Well, you have to look at the entire story. Before what happened, the man had already been hit and drugged or sent to the emergency room for stitches because of a vehicle. So he's got that in his mind.
A week prior to that. Yeah.
He's already been hurt. I listened to the video so many times, and I can distinctly say that I heard an officer going up to the door tell her to get out of the car.
Exactly. I heard it too.
He didn't say go park the car. He didn't say when you feel like it, get out of the car.
Exactly.
And she attempted to drive away. Why that officer was in the front, I don't know. Some people have said that, well, he violated policy, he violated tactics. That's just where he happened to be at that particular time.
Yeah.
And he felt threatened, and he fired his weapon in defense of whatever, and she lost her life. But had she complied with get out of the car, which means put the damn thing in drive, get out of the car, no one would have shot her.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as the other gentleman, I have seen so many videos that I don't know if they're true, if they're not true. My mindset is if you're a peaceful protester, why do you need to take a gun to a protest?
And why don't you comply? Just comply.
Did he violate the law? No. He's entitled to take that gun and carry it. He was legal to carry it. I've seen videos where they said an officer took the gun from him, but upon a close-up of the gun, it's not the same gun that they showed on the car seat. No. I know for a fact that they're two different guns. Yeah. So to be honest, I want to talk about media here in a few minutes, but one of the things we have to realize about media, you see this stuff on social media. We don't know if it's been AI generated, if it's fake.
Yeah.
They can do so much now with computerization. I don't know what I'm looking at. So you have to take everything in and do your own due diligence and ask yourself, what do you believe? Not listen to your particular political leader, whoever that might be, and just say, okay, he told me that this was how it was, and that's what I believe.
Yeah.
You gotta make it, you've got to do your due diligence and look at the big picture, look at all the facts, and make your own decision.
You know, I grew up during, and I'm not trying to get off the subject, but I grew up during the Vietnam era, and I seen a lot of crap back then, how GIs were treated, and just, you know, and I think, this is my personal opinion, but I think what you're seeing now are the children of the hippies that were back from the days that I grew up, and they're coming out there because they were doing the same thing. The only thing is they've gotten violent. And I mean, this guy, supposedly, you've seen it on TV. I mean, I've seen several different things where he kicks out the back of the light, right? The guy comes out, the immigration guy, the ICE guy gets out of there, throws him around like a wet rag for a little bit, right? And I mean, then you had these congressmen and senators getting up there and going, oh yeah, this is a guy that you'd really want your daughter to date. And I'm like, I'm looking at this. I was like, what are you smoking crack or something? Bunch of damn liberal congressmen.
Well, I mean,
or what?
just take that one little piece. Where does it say in a peaceful protest that you get, okay, I have a constitutional right to get upset and I'm going to kick the light off the car. I'm going to damage it or whatever. What if he decided to throw a brick through the window? Where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
I think personally in that situation of that little clip, he should have been arrested.
Yeah.
For at least damaging the vehicle, and had they arrested him, he may still have been in jail.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it would have kept him from being out there the other day, but it's just.
But this guy was a nurse with the VA too.
And then I guess the other question is, how do you let people get you so ginned up? Why? If these people were Jim Jones and you need to drink the Kool-Aid now. Who's going to drink Kool-Aid now?
No.
I'm not drinking any Kool-Aid.
I wouldn't have drank it back then either.
Drink the Kool-Aid. And that's what people are doing. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. They're getting all fired up. And we were told by the mayor and the governor that we can go out there and we can get away with this. Somebody put it in their head that they can get away with this.
Or they're getting paid extensively.
People down here in Columbus or across the river in Phoenix City, they know if ICE came down here, one, I don't think the politicians would be tell the local law enforcement, we're not doing anything. I'd be willing to bet that all the law enforcement down here, if ICE comes to town or whatever, or there's something like that, if they have somebody illegal in a jail, they're probably reporting it to the people. Back in the time that I was in law enforcement, back in, say, around 2004, when we came across lawbreakers that couldn't speak English, they didn't have identification or anything, every time we tried to get ICE to come down from our homeland,
could never get them here.
You couldn't. Like, how many do you have? 4? You need 5.
Yeah, exactly.
You got 5? No, you need 6.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I can be out with people. Guy gave me a name one night, and he didn't have any ID. When I ran the name, he matched somebody that was wanted in Texas for murder, and he really didn't speak a whole lot of English. But when I said you're under arrest for murder,
he knew exactly what you meant.
He started speaking English real quick, and an ID came out of his pocket, and he wasn't actually. I could have got him for giving me a false name, I guess, but it was dark 30 in the morning, and it just wasn't worth being a county sheriff, a county deputy sheriff, to have to mess with these guys when you've got other calls that people that need you. Yeah. So.
I know our agency, we've got a policy now. It's in there that it's an automatic ICE detainer. So, that attachment's there. And of course, they'll get charged for whatever reason that we stopped them and put them in jail, whether it's, I would have to say probably 90% of it's DUIs and stuff. They get out there, those farm guys that get out there and get a little rough on Friday nights and Saturday nights and decide they want to either get in the car and drive, or they decide they want to throw a couple fists at each other, which is kind of normal, really, if you think about it. We used to get a lot of calls here in South Columbus, where I was an officer at. And so eventually you're going to have those types of calls, but we have ICE detainers on them. And so when we're done or they're charged, we immediately, I think our jail has to contact ICE, and then they'll come and pick them up.
Yeah.
So
I keep seeing a bus in Phoenix City. It's a white, long bus, but it looks like I've never been able to get behind it and actually see what the tag says on it.
Yeah.
But there's no writing or anything on it that says Department of Corrections or anything like that. But it's armored up to the point where it looks like it's it's something a SWAT team would be using. But why would they need a big, long bus? And the windows are like covered with all kinds of stuff, and there looks like there's metal plating on it and stuff, so that only a few windows. But I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and I can never find out. And the only thing I can figure is it's some kind of government bus to transport either prisoners or like people that the government are deporting or something.
Well, that the airport is a receiving area for, especially out there in Stewart County. They have that immigration detention facility that's out there. I think they get a temporary, they get attorneys out there and they get a temporary court thing but they set them down in the buses right over here to the airfield. So that may be coming in from another location because we're centralized here and then transporting them out. I know they backed the airplane up there and they were coming twice a week and they would back the vehicle right up and then transfer them right in and then they were gone wherever they're going around.
Right.
So, but I think that's probably what it is. But our news media, I know you want to talk a little bit about that, but they haven't exactly been my best friends, the news media, at least not at WRBL or TVM. I had Chuck Williams here the other day in the studio, and we talked about the campaign donations that were being received by supposedly the top leaders of because they're getting more money. News media just hasn't been very fair. I mean, for me especially, because I've ran so many times, they push that as a negative, and you just don't understand the type of training that I've gone through. And I think you being in the military, did anybody ever tell you in the military to quit what you're doing in a mission? Just quit. Just forget what you're doing.
No.
Exactly.
If you didn't make a standard, you retrained and you worked harder.
Yeah.
Till you go at this station.
Exactly. You know? That's what we did. So, I've gone through evaluations where I get all the way up to the middle of it and I was a no-go on the next station. And I said, God, all that year of training and doing everything that I was doing, and then all of a sudden I'm a no-go. Well, guess what? Next year I did it again. And then I passed the next year or whatever I did. I mean, I've never known to give in to failure. I've never known to give in to failure.
I say, this area, it needs some new leadership because I'm just going to say it. I don't care if it pisses anybody off, but I keep hearing $45 million of missing money. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Yeah.
Why is nobody in Columbus irate about $45 million? I mean, I've heard about trash. I've heard about roads. I've heard about, people want to rebuild some areas. Columbus has been pushing away from Fort Benning over the last 40 or 50 years, and you can see the economic decline is by roads or by sections. I mean, back when I was in the military, it was happening around Macon Road.
Right.
Around Macon Road, and the mall died there.
Yeah. Oh,
and some of the little restaurants and stuff, you got a bunch of fast food now, but you don't have anything substantial that anybody really, I don't know. I don't know that there's a bookstore or something that might draw some people in and a Publix. But by and large, people have tried, I've said this for years and years, that everybody was trying to push out to Harris County to go north. Go north, young man, go north. Well, guess what? Harris County, I think, is pretty much filled up now. So where are you going?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't afford any property out there, $30,000 an acre. It's crazy.
They've pushed out to the east, to, veterans and pretty much built as far as you can go out that way. They're building out River Road. So people in Columbus, you can't go any farther, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the line is somewhere in around Manchester Expressway now. Yeah. I keep hearing that, Peachtree is dying. Peachtree can't keep the big businesses like they used to have,
They just got a new wig shop.
Oh, did he? Well,
oh, yeah, they sure did.
The furniture store went away, and they got a new wig shop.
I mean, I guess they have the only, Macy's anywhere in the area.
Yeah, they're a warehouse, too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Macy's rebuilds over. But, what I'm saying is, the line somewhere around the airport now, but they pushed north. They made the new Whittlesey Mall, and all the restaurants are out there. So if you want a decent meal, pretty much, you kind of got to get out in that area. Midland has been built up.
Yeah.
It's
good.
But at some point, you're going to have to go back because there is a cause and effect. And these people that are living in these areas where nobody wants to live, it's not safe. I'm not going to name any names because I'm not going to name areas, but there's places that people would rather go to Harris or Troup County or whatever and drive back down here to work than live in some of those areas.
Yeah.
And because there's an economic situation going on where either they can't make enough money or they can't live the way they want to live. People are not happy and they're taking the easy way out. And for some of these kids that aren't getting into college and stuff because they didn't take high school serious, they only have a limited amount of choices.
Right.
And running around with these little gangbangers and stuff is a choice that some of these kids are making. And we're feeding a system where they get picked up and, once they've been arrested once or twice, their job prospects are done.
Yeah.
And they're too cool to work at any place like Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's. They're not going to do it. It just it perpetuates itself.
Well, one of the things that I talked about, especially in this campaign, is you and I worked as military contractors,
Yep.
and I worked on some projects, underground tunneling operations. I was a program manager for that. That was the first time that I became a program manager. So, when you hit that level, you're at the big bucks, right? So you and I worked for a mega training group for a while, and we worked our ways through some of the contracts. But I've seen a lot of contracts out there. In Fort Benning, what I wanted to do was try to make some friends out there with these contractors. And they've opened up a school, but I think of UAVs and stuff that they've done out there. And if we can get some of these young kids interested in computer technology associated with UAVs, this is a big deal right now. It's a big deal wartime. We've got UAVs going all over the place. That's what I wanted to do, was foster a relationship with Fort Benning and try to open up some of these schools, maybe like a trade school, get Fort Benning interested in it. I mean,
that's a possibility. I know that I've told my boys, as much time as they spend on Xboxes and stuff, join the Air Force,
yeah,
and go out to California and be flying a drone somewhere in the Middle East.
Well, I was in a special operations unit. I was in 20th Special Forces group, and we had pilots that were in my support company when I was a first sergeant. Those pilots, they were in my company, and what was unique about them, they had like a 12 and a half week wingspan. They were probably 12, 14, 15 feet long, launched from a platform, and they were able to affix guns to them. They were able to fix missiles. They were able to act as what we call retrans from high altitude. We actually sent them in to Syria on missions in Syria before anybody even knew that they were there. Of course, it's unclassified now, but all of that mission. But those guys would sit, and 400 miles away, here's this thing, they're piloting this stuff. And once they got, what was crazy is I couldn't keep those guys on that section because they were being offered jobs. I mean, all these DGI and all these other companies were offering them jobs. I mean, these guys would sit in a pilot seat, basically. That thing would take off and they'd be gone, for hours and hours flying that thing. It could loiter around for hours and stuff as an observation platform. So, why not? Why not get them interested? These guys, we couldn't keep them. Once I got him trained, I was just telling myself, well, how long will he be here?
Well, look at the thing that just happened down in El Paso where they had to close down the airport.
Right.
To however they want to say it. It's been corrected. It's been supposedly they didn't shoot down drones or whatever, but I heard that they did shoot down, that the military was involved in some of it. And you have to understand that before you get to the El Paso airport, you got to go over Fort Bliss.
You do.
So anything flying over Fort Bliss is fair game.
Exactly.
They don't have to ask permission. The mayor was incensed because he didn't know everything he needed to know. Well, the federal government doesn't have to come down and explain stuff to you.
No.
If you violate federal airspace or federal, go to Fort Benning. They got it right there on the gate. You come on this installation. They might as well say this. You come on this installation, most of your civil rights went right out the window.
Exactly.
We can stop you. We can tear your vehicle apart. We don't do it on a regular basis, but if we need to do it, we can do it. You are a guest on Fort Benning.
Exactly.
You're not like entitled to drive in there and go to Building 4 or whatever they call it now. Of course, we used to call it Building Snore, but I spent a lot of time on Fort Benning.
Hall. I think it's Whitman Hall.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So.
And then they've renamed Dixie Road. Now has a new name.
Yeah.
And I launched a lot of bullets up and down Dixie, even before they made that Mongasso range down through the middle of it where they incorporated, like 6 different ranges or something.
Yeah. There's been a lot of buildup
between AMU and whatever those other ranges are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bullets going down range, which I miss those days. There's nothing like getting to shoot for free.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, you mentioned one thing. I don't know how we're doing on time. How are we doing?
We are at 55 minutes.
What? And we have a total of what?
It normally goes whenever.
Okay.
Whenever.
Well, I just want you.
just-
You mentioned the news.
yes, I did.
This is one thing that I want to talk to all the people out there, all the people, and I wanted to ask how many people are really dissatisfied with the level of reporting in our area. The gumption or the get up and go of these reporters to go out and find these stories and get to the bottom of stuff instead of these. I get this idea. You remember when you were in elementary school and you went to the cafeteria and you got the little plastic tray with the little things?
Absolutely.
And you got the fish sticks and you got some kale and some navy beans and maybe a piece of cornbread.
Yeah.
And that was lunch.
Yeah. I was happy.
These news reporters, they go through the line or whatever, and they're given, the city tells them, or the police department or whatever, whoever, the politician tells them, this is lunch today, go report this.
And don't investigate shit.
And don't
Don't
exactly.
investigate shit.
There's only been one reporter, and she is a friend and stuff.
Robbie Watson.
Yeah, Robbie Watson.
I love
There's
Robbie.
only been one reporter in recent memory that would go out and bang her head on the doors and
did.
piss people off and have people, making the sign of the cross when she would show up like a vampire was after them to get a story.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that there's some nights in Lee County, the watch would show up at a radio call or something, and it wouldn't be too long before Robbie Watson was walking out of the darkness in the middle of nowhere trying to find the story. And, it'd be way after hours.
Yeah.
So she would put the work in. There was a guy named Dante Rizzulli that I think worked for WTVM.
WTVM. Yeah.
But he didn't spend much time here. He went to Atlanta,
yeah.
which
He got
the
smart.
last I heard, he was doing great up there.
Yeah.
And then there was a real young guy for WRBL that ended up going to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
They were the only three that would get out, and you would see them on the ground trying to get a story.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure they had great expectations when we call them baby reporters. They take a job where they take a job, right, just to get their feet wet, and then they're never staying here forever. They're going on somewhere else. But
the other thing I want to know is, are some of these stations owned by like liberal lefty people?
yes,
Yes, they are.
And they're told this is how we want the story to be slanted to begin with.
exactly.
Before
Before they even go out, their bosses are telling them,
Yes.
you got to have it by this time, and this is what you're going to say and everything. And they'll do 15 minutes worth of interview, and you get 5 seconds is all you get because they'll cut the hell out of it to make you look bad. That's what they always do. I mean, the same thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
They mentioned the five times, guys, that I ran for public office. That's a horrible thing. Unsuccessfully, by the way. And so that's what they always do. And they rub their nose in it like look, I'm the only guy that's got the name recognition in this town, other than Isaiah Hughley, but I got fired. But the bottom line is, I'm the guy who's got the name recognition, right? I've ran, 4 times officially, by the way, not 5. So you news media, get it right, okay? The 5th time was a write-in candidate. So that wasn't official. But the bottom line is, they get out there and they use these negatives, and they're, just like I said, they're trying to formulate the 2 candidates right now, Joanne Kogel. Somebody tried to correct me today on that stuff. It's ridiculous, Mr. Glover. Anyway, so they're taking the 2 candidates because this one's got 100 and some thousand, this one's got 87,000, and they must be the front runners. Well, folks, if you're smart, you don't need that much money. You really don't. You don't need that much money. You got to be, I spent money on this studio, a lot of money, and I could have spent $20,000 or $30,000 right off from the get-go for this campaign. But again, they get their marching orders when they go out and see these stories, and instead of get some backbone and investigate these things. Be a good reporter. Don't wait till you go away from Columbus or you stay forever and you're just, I don't know. Your mind is already made up exactly what you're going to do. I don't know what
I understand
you
they're
feel about
young. I understand they're just starting out, and this is their calling or whatever.
But across the board, though,
investigative reporting is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Well, you have another reporter. I think she's been regulated over to Auburn, Opelika area, and I don't know if she's still actually doing it for one of the stations or she started her own little following or whatever. But she was another one that just would go with the flow. What is the city's side of this, and that's whatever she was told to report, pretty much. And it's ridiculous. It's not what it's not like the when I was growing up with Superman and stuff. It's not Lois Lane. Lois Lane would go out and dig for the story, or
Exactly.
any of the hard, the two guys that went after Nixon in the 70s. They didn't listen to what Nixon told them, and they went out and dug, and after hours were running around at night in parking garages and risking their life, and and to get the story out to the American people.
Well, there's a lot of bullying, I would say. Like, you start reporting facts or stories, and you had one reporter get fired because the city manager didn't like what she had to say. So, I mean, there is definitely, I feel like I call them government gangsters, where they feel that they own this location, that they have everybody in their pockets, and they're going to report what they tell them to. And it's kind of sad. Like, I mean, and this is why people are leaving. People are leaving Columbus in droves. People say, oh, I see what this city's really about, and they don't want anything to do with it. And it's just sad. It's like, when will we want a change that is actually going to benefit the city, that's going to make people want to stay here and build and be innovative and bring more businesses and start beautiful businesses? But it's not like that, unfortunately.
No, it ain't. And I think the problem is people, big families have run this place forever. Same thing across the river. The old, matter of fact, I think we got a thing here, the old Phoenix City story and stuff that went on over the corruption. And it wasn't just there, it was here too. I mean, between the two communities, the families have run for 150 years, have run this place. They were, I remember the Turner family would tell you what, basically you had to go and genuflect in front of the Turner family if you wanted to bring a new business, because Columbus was the end of the road. I remember coming here for basic or AIT, and there was the 185 wasn't there. We came in through Alabama on 85 and then crossed the river. That wasn't even there. It was not even there at all. That was the crazy part of this stuff, is we were literally at the end of the road. I mean, it was a cul-de-sac is what it ended up. That's a kind of a joke, but I've heard it before. But there was there was nothing here. And to bring in corporations and large businesses, that's what I'm going to try to do.
I wonder if they want people here. I don't know if they want more development. I think it sounds good, but I think they just want to continue to siphon money from the people, the old faithfuls who are going to stay here. And I think that's pretty much what's happening.
Folks, I want Interstate 14. That's what I want.
Oh, really?
I want Interstate 14.
Okay, we need to find out where that's coming through.
Yeah,
and we need to buy some land, and
there
veterans.
and we need to put in a Buc-ee's.
Yeah,
don't give.
I like it.
So
I like it.
Don't give everybody the
That's
idea.
what I've been wanting, a Buc-ee's and a Bass Pro Shops, and man, you don't realize how much money is with the Bass
that
Pro
will
Shops.
come.
People they'll travel for 100 miles just to go to a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
How much money could be made? Buc-ee's is so famous.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have their own police department there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I was just thinking about the interstate, and it's going to cut through Fort Benning or whatever, and down there on Victory Drive. But have you tried a place that's been open for a little bit of time now? It's called the Patrol Base. They do a breakfast down there that is out of this world.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard about it.
You got to go.
Yeah.
You got to go to the Patrol Base.
Absolutely.
It's just down from Ranger Joe's.
I've heard some.
Right next to Tier 1.
Oh, Patrol Base. Yeah, I know. Matter of fact, I know the first sergeant up there. He was a Ranger guy.
Yeah.
He was in the Ranger battalion.
I think he opened up Tier 1.
He did. He opened.
And I think his daughters there was
She's running the restaurant.
Yeah, there was a Korean place next door, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
But I'm telling you, I've got some church buddies that meet there on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
And the breakfasts are, I can't think of another place in town that can touch their breakfast.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try the breakfast. I've been there for lunch because I know him really well, and he's donated to my past campaigns and everything. And I have, matter of fact, I got a sign out there in front of it. I had two. I think somebody took them down. Probably the city, because they like snatching my signs down, but nobody else's. It's funny, the sign Nazi. We've got him out there. But yeah, he's great, and they've got a great operation down there. That place has been several restaurants over the years, and the tier 1 where he had it was a wood shop also for a while.
Okay.
They did like wood awards and things of that nature that they did there, and that was the crazy part, that they had. He had these like laser machines in there that they could actually do plaques and all that stuff. Because I remember getting a few of the plaques made and giving them out to when I was in some of the infantry schools over there. And so that was a pretty good operation. And then it closed down. That was another restaurant, and then was something else.
Yeah.
And then the Korean place next door, I think it was a couple times it was a Korean restaurant. Then it tried to be a normal restaurant, and then it got shut down. So I'd like to see something stay there permanently and be successful, because there's been several buildings along that whole strip down there that have come and gone over the years. We wanted to build a Black Rifle coffee company down there by the gas station, right next door to the hotel. I thought it was a great location. And I talked to Black Rifle Coffee Company, tried to talk to him and get a franchise down there. I thought it would be great, because Fort Benning is right up the road. People could come and go in there and everything. I could never get them to return a phone call. They would never talk to me. So that kind of idea kind of went out the window. But we enjoyed a lot of good businesses here in Columbus. And I think some of the complaint, the lady that owns Ruth Ann's, and she's complained about a lot of the trade stores, in which basically there's a lot of still mom and pop businesses in Columbus. And a lot of them are concerned about the big trade stores coming in, especially on Whittlesey out there, where you got all this. I think we've got 20 chicken places starting from the beginning of where Moon Road is all the way back up to Veterans Parkway.
We just had another one open up in Phoenix City.
Yeah.
On the 280 bypass.
I'm about to grow wings and sprout an egg here before too long. But my question is I think a lot of the people are very concerned about more trade restaurants or trade chains coming in, and the mom and pop stores going away. They're struggling, especially the downtown area. They're struggling, these restaurants.
Well, usually, I don't know how to phrase this, but I'm just going to go straight to the cut to the chase. That Phoenix City has
growing a lot.
Got some decent places to start putting some food places in. I mean, we finally got an Outback over there, and it's doing okay. There's a Chicken Salad Chick, which I'm a big chicken salad kind of guy. There's a new coffee place over there, Dutch Boys Coffee or something. But we're starting to get some. I mean, for a while there, it was either your standard fast food, McDonald's, Wendy's, Hardee's, McDonald's, or then your old standby Waffle House.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to get some choices. But still, if you want a really good sit-down meal, you still either have to come on over to Columbus, or you got to drive to Auburn.
Right.
So.
Well, Interstate 14, I think the original plan was to go down Jerry Allen Parkway and go that way, come across the river, and then come into Phoenix City, right? The thing to make that successful, you would have to straighten that big curve out there as you come down the hill, because that, there's no way you could have an interstate and have that interchange. That would be the big
No, they've
area.
had, if you look at the guardrails, a lot of truckers come down there way too fast.
I'm surprised they never straightened that out, though. They've had some fatalities in there on the opposite side.
There is something going on down there. There's a lot of equipment that's parked over in the woods to the right down there as you come off. And I think they're trying to put in a third lane or something, either for turning or turning into or something, trying to go 3 lanes in both directions.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to that. But I do know that there was a lot of wrecks police chases have ended there where the perpetrator was just going way too fast for that last turn.
And it ended literally.
Yeah, ended up either down in the woods on the left
Yeah.
or in the guardrail somewhere.
But that's how you'd have to straighten that section of road. It would have to go to the right, probably kind of where there's a few gas stations there where the National Guard complex is. I would think in between there and the National Guard complex, they would have to be going over the roadway and try to come down. But I think that would be the most direct route if Interstate 14 was going to come through there. But then you get out, then you'd have to straighten out.
Well, you got that. There's a one or two big corporations that have buildings down there right off of Lakewood.
Right.
You got the golf course. I don't know if they're going to let them cut across the, what is that? Not Maple Ridge. It's, I can't think of the big golf course right there at Bridgewater.
Yeah, Maple Ridge is further up where I'm.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, why I said Maple Ridge.
I mean, I can see the advantages of it. I know Columbus folks, because they're so set in their ways, I know that a lot of them don't want an interstate coming through there, but then there's a lot of benefits to interstate. The traffic.
As you're coming down that straightaway before you get to that last turn, there's like on one side, there's businesses and some apartment complexes. On the right, there's whole neighborhoods over there. Phoenix City would have to, or the state would have to, somebody would have to buy up a bunch of property,
right,
and get those people out of there. So it's probably a money issue.
Yeah, more than likely. But I think it would be beneficial to Columbus for the growth of Columbus anyway. I mean, Columbus has grown exponentially, but it's all little small businesses that have been coming in. And look, I'm not against small business. I just think that we need medium to big corporations to come here and let them pay the tax base. I mean, the small businesses are getting taxed like crazy. We have the highest taxes in the state of Georgia here. Sales tax, crazy. Property tax, crazy.
Regulation tax.
Yeah.
What's it called? Occupancy tax.
I mean, occupancy tax, regulation tax. I mean,
there's so many things.
It's ridiculous, the taxes that are in here. And all we're doing is giving more money to the city council so they can go blow it on $50 million baseball parks and lose $45 million from the finance department for business licenses that we can't find.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think a new administration ought to look seriously at where all this, crime prevention money, these grants go every year.
Yeah, that $1 million.
To the tune of $800 to $1 million.
That's $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all for having programs, but some of this stuff, underwater basketball at midnight or whatever this stuff they're doing.
We don't have any receipts if these programs are even successful.
I've been told for years by people in the know that some of this stuff is just political payback for support at election times and stuff.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Hey, you get me a certain amount of votes and we'll see what we can do to help you out, do something.
I want that money, if the money is going to stay there as mayor, I want that money to be related to crime, some type of crime program.
Yeah. I told a certain mayor, you give me some of that money and we'll hold meetings and, we'll go into these neighborhoods where they've got the problem.
That's right.
And either go with or without the police department. But the main thing is the police have got to reach out to these people. They know where these areas that are known, the places they don't want to go at night unless they go in force, that's where they need to go. They need to go in there and talk to these people. And, if they want to make a change, you've got to convince these people that, looking the other way or letting lawbreakers live in your house or tolerate them is not the way to go, that eventually it's going to turn around and bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that it goes back to that concept with community policing. It's like when you have the community involved, the people that know their neighbors, the people that have spent time with them, they go to church with them. And, I've read this article, or it's really a book, and it was said more God, less crime. But it was this idea where faith-based organizations and churches, they would come alongside police officers and the government to address crime. And so they call it in Boston, like there was this result where they call it the Boston Miracle. And that that situation pretty much revolutionized a lot of the way people do policing. And they allowed the community, all the hostilities where people had against police officers, that kind of died down. And they were able to decrease crime significantly. So I don't know if you know about that story, but
I'm not familiar with it, but it's just age-old concepts about police work and being in the neighborhoods. I mean, Eric probably knows what the old broken window theory about, if a neighborhood's destitute and it's broken windows and it's run down, that's where the crime's going to be. Mm-hmm. And, that says something about your neighborhood, enhancing your neighborhoods, cleaning them up and, clean it out for your neighbor to look around. I mean, look around this city. It's filthy. You go down the interstate, Pampers, truck bumpers. This is a horrible place. And this is what we're doing. We're people are going to Fort Benning, Georgia, seeing all the garbage on the road, and they're going, oh, wow. If they even had an idea they wanted to come here or stay here in the future or do anything, they'd think twice about it because it's a filthy city. It's absolutely filthy.
it's like little, I guess their architecture is all just square boxes for miles and miles. It's the only big grand building is, I guess, the Affleck Center.
Yeah, you can see it from the interstate. Yeah,
I know, but everything else is square. It's like little square boxes, and I'm just like, man, there's no originality, there's no design. It's just the same old. And I think Columbus is a beautiful city. I think there's great things. Like we do have the Riverwalk, and I do see people, having like, I guess the buildings that they're doing along the 2nd Avenue and all that stuff, that's coming up. I do see that, and it's more so residential and business, I guess, oriented. But once again, we need people that, that can dream, that they're not stifled by regulations or taxes. And it's just ridiculous in my mind. It could be better.
Yeah, you're just I think you're strangling businesses' initiative to grow. To want to grow and to want to make more business here. I mean, it's made up of small businesses. And again, don't quote me on this, Columbus, but the bottom line is I want to look at bringing medium to large corporations here. Only not just because of the growth part, but to bring more jobs and better jobs to Columbus. I think we could have had Kia here if we would have really broken it down somewhat. And
could have had who?
Kia.
Tia?
Yeah, we could have had. I think we could have had Kia here. I know a long time ago, Miller Brewing Company where'd they go? Albany. We could have had them here. They were looking at these locations before, and there was just Columbus was very, we didn't want to call it, very stalwart on who they wanted to bring in. I told you about, if you wanted to bring a business here, you had to go to the Turners and genuflect in front of them and sell them on the idea. I mean, what was he, the second largest owner of Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
I mean, I love to switch it up, when I go to Atlanta. So sometimes I'll go the Alabama way or I'll go up 185.
Yeah.
I always found that going up 185, it just seems like it's so boring.
It is. Mm-hmm. It's boring.
Boring. But going the other way, I don't know, there's more to see. You hit Opelika, you hit the Kia plant.
Yeah.
And that, you got to appreciate how big of a building that actually
it's huge.
is.
It's huge.
And the other thing that most people don't appreciate is Alabama loved the Kia plant because once you get across the border down there around Lynette, going down to Opelika, around Andrews Road, all those little corporate buildings that you see like Mando and some of those other things, they're making stuff for the Kia plant up the interstate.
Yeah, I work in a county that's right next to this.
Kia probably could have gone into Alabama if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But they wanted the interstate. They wanted they completely redid that.
They redid the exit.
That exchange, put that big water tower in and stuff. But yeah, you're right. Columbus could bring somebody in,
There's still property around here in the industrial complex. That could happen. You've got, what do you got? Jailer Parkway. That's pretty much a straight shot now all the way to the interstate.
Alabama's got stuff on the other side of the river that that's either pretty much closed down or is just decaying and stuff. And it wouldn't be too far. I mean, you'd have to, if you were, really into transporting a lot of trucks and stuff, I guess you'd have to figure out that. But But then again, if that new interstate comes in, who knows what? But Fort Benning is there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the drone thing was brilliant.
I think it was a brilliant idea. I think that,
because there's building the drones,
yes,
and then there's a whole business of anti-drones. How do you stop them?
exactly. Anti-drone technology, everything that's associated with it, because we, try to get off a little bit on a tangent, but the new battlefield will be a drone battlefield. You're going to have, I know I worked on a few projects over there when I worked for Omega, like the LifeSure 3000. I did tests out there near the Ranger School with that. You were on the Land Warrior contract.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot of time. I spent some time out in Arizona in the desert,
Right.
working on that.
Yeah.
Radio systems and stuff.
But the LifeSure 3000 was all part of, you maybe not familiar, but it was a bodysuit that monitored all your vital signs and everything, whether you're loss of blood, whether you're laying down, whether you're losing fluid of some kind. And then that was all technology where you had this drone that would come out there and lay down and scoop you up inside of it, the bulletproof drone, take off and then take you back to friendly forward lines where you were at.
Whole new concept for
Yeah,
medevacs.
exactly. And so they're expanding greatly on that. And the next battlefield is going to be just that. It's going to be UAVs. Look at what happened overseas with Russia and all them. Back and forth drone work is what's happened.
Well, with all the new weapon systems that, the new rifles and the new bullets that are coming out, I'm surprised that one of the defense contractors hasn't built something either in Columbus.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the one company they were so sure that they were going to get a contract, H&K.
H&K.
They're still here.
Yeah. But I worked on the caseless ammo technology. I did some of that. I fired the barrel 1 and 2 up in what's the place in the Navy base up there in the Midwest? I'll think of it.
Navy base in the Midwest?
Yes, it's where all the technology has been. What the heck was the name of that place? I can't remember.
Yeah. Got me on that one.
Yeah.
I think a Navy base, you'd have to have some water.
Well, this is where they, yeah, you would think, right? But this is where they do all of the technology testing for the SEALs, for all the special operations. Okay. They do it right there, and all of the concepts, of course, then they go up for testing somewhere. But
it's not out there near Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, it's in Illinois.
I was making fun of the Navy and having water. In West Virginia, up on the side of a mountain, there's listening towers, radio towers that reach out into the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And they grab electronic signals that they...
Crane. There it is. It just came to me. Crane is a military base up there in the Midwest. And
Never heard of it. I have to look that one up.
Big base. It's by the Navy and stuff. So I had to say that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it would have bothered me all night long.
I get like that. If I can't remember a name or
Yeah.
where I put something, it bothers me until I find it.
So how long we been running, Sarah?
We are at an hour and 22 minutes.
An hour and 22?
23 now. So
all right.
I know that, I don't know if Mr. Woodson has something to do, but or we can keep going.
Well, I've got really nothing to do. I've covered pretty much all the things that I wanted to mention.
Well, we'll give you one of the last words out there, and then I'll finish it up. But so you want to take us out of this? What do you think? About
Final
Columbus
thoughts.
and expansion, and I want to ask you those things. The politics part of it and things like that. Kind of wind this up.
I would like to see. I don't get to vote in Columbus. I do have, family and stuff that work in Columbus.
Right.
And they're over here a lot. I spend a little time over here. I come through Columbus all the time because I'm still headed out to Fort Benning and stuff for stuff. I would just like, as far as the politics go, I would like to see a more responsive administration come in, the city council, listen to the people a little bit more. I would like to see more people show up at the city council meetings and just, I understand that, I don't know, they're in the mornings and stuff, or supposedly.
You got evening.
Oh, they're in the evenings now?
Well, no, they're morning and evening. I think they've got some evening sessions.
I think, if you're not happy with the government that you've got, you got to get off your rear end and let people know. Mm-hmm. Call your councilmen or people up and hold them accountable. Call the mayor's office, no matter how painful it is or who's answering the phone and gives you an excuse or whatever, keep calling until you get the mayor and say,
You know, the crazy part is, Eric, and I agree with you. The crazy part of that is people go, well, I knew the mayor, I went to high school with him, his daughters and my son played baseball together and blah, 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 blah. That's what we hear all the time.
yeah.
And so they don't want to take that position, like you said. They don't want to be bothersome or stuff. What really bothered me about that concept, about the meetings, was that people would go up there and speak and they'd mention a counselor's name and right away they cut them off. I mean, that's their First Amendment right. Georgia Open Meetings Act. Go read it, okay? It's all over there. But some people, quite frankly, just
Well, you know
some
what?
people
Maybe
need to be
somebody
cut
in
off.
Columbus who has the time
Yeah.
and the ability and the knowledge of computers and is more smart on Facebook than I'll ever be. Maybe they need to start a Columbus City Council Facebook for
Yeah.
all the people that don't get a chance to get on and get their minute or 2 minutes or whatever and get a chance to say what they want to say in City Council. Start the page, this month or whatever, and grow it. Give people a chance to go live or whatever, and put their views or their ideas out there, and see who agrees with them and who tells them they're
That's a good
full
idea.
of it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So if you were in Columbus, who would be your leading candidate?
Ooh,
Throw that anchor out there,
little
right?
put on the spot right here.
Right on the spot. That wasn't me. We didn't rehearse that.
I know. I was just wondering.
At this point, I would honestly have to say I would be undecided. I know Mark's history. I know his employment history. It's kind of similar to mine, in a lot of at least 3 different areas.
No pressure. You don't have to answer it if you don't. No pressure. I'm sorry.
You got your Fred Astaire shoes on there?
I could definitely tell you that there's one candidate that would not get my vote.
I think we could guess.
yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good guess.
Anybody that needs the Columbus taxpayer to pay for custom rims on his
Oh my
Corvette.
God.
his Dodge Charger with a Hemi Interceptor package on it, and the taxpayer had to pay for special rims for that vehicle. No, sorry. If you're not happy with just driving a Dodge Charger with the tires that came on it or the rims,
Yeah.
and why does a city why does a city employee need an Interceptor package or whatever? Is that so he's not late to meetings or what? So he can speed through town? I don't know. Ms. Coggle, I don't know anything really about her. I probably need to do some research, but I really haven't looked into it because I'm not a voter.
Yeah, you're not a voter.
That's right.
If I had to say who I would probably lean to at this point, depending on what I know about the other people, I would probably say I'd have to lean towards Mark. I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm sitting here.
But I think what you've done is you have basically used a lot of your and my background together, the management skills that we've been through, especially as contractors. Again, I managed one contract that was about $540 million as a program manager for another company. It wasn't Omega. It was another company I worked for. I worked 7 different companies. So you and I got moved around quite a bit when we worked as a contract. But you've got to be pretty creative, and you've got black and white, or you'll lose that contract. You've got to make sure that your P's and Q's are there and your I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and the dollar amounts are where they should be. I know I did development in some of the contracts for just small ones, $1 million for Omega when I was there. And we sent all those to the editor, and then they did their work and sent it back to us. And then we sent it to the government back and forth. So you and I had similar backgrounds in that we had to manage these budgets, had to manage the money and the personnel in it. And I think that's kind of where I'm not tooting my own horn, but I've already had that experience. I've already had that experience of laying that out there.
Yeah.
And especially the managing personnel and things like that in the military. You did as a senior NCO, so did I.
I just wonder when that stuff is gonna matter. Like, when is it gonna matter?
Well, it hasn't mattered here.
Unfortunately,
that's the problem.
It's like, when is it like the actual who can do the job well, who can clean house, who can bring justice, who can resolve crime? Like, it's kind of like those things don't matter anymore. It's like, hey, we're just gonna do the political game, and just whoever can be in there that we like, whoever's more popular, woohoo, and it's kind of annoying. And I know we're now at an hour and 30 minutes now, but I mean, I just hope that one day Columbus can get out of this toxic relationship with our government, because I feel like it's just a toxic, situation. And I honestly, I know Coggle is the more popular one. Coggle. I'll say whatever I want. Okay, Coggle. But
you're gonna get criticized.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I think I get criticized enough, but I feel like I wish we would get out of this.
Popularity contest.
I know it's so
That's kind of what it
annoying.
is. It is annoying.
I want change. And I don't know. Your final thoughts?
I do have one thought before we go. I'd like a new mayor to come in, or a new city council, somebody that could go downtown and explain the different parking areas and the restrictions of where you can park at what time.
They don't know.
On a whole, a military buddy of mine the other day, well, it was a year or two ago. He got a ticket for parking down near the Presbyterian church, and he does something for the church and stuff. And he tried to fight the ticket, and they're like, "Oh, the whole block is no parking." And he's like, "What? Where's the signs?"
Yeah.
"Oh, it's designated. This is a no parking area." And
they don't know what
and he was like, "We'd really." There is a parking deck down there somewhere. We'd rather have you park on the deck than on the street. And I was just like, it made no sense at the time, and there was no good explanation. He ended up paying the ticket or whatever, but it's just ridiculous.
Well, I appreciate you coming on board, Eric. And we went north to south and east to west on this broadcast, but we learned a lot. We learned a lot about the watch and how effective that was early on, what you guys were trying to accomplish. And kudos to you all. Congratulations. The way that started out.
There's still plenty of room on the. You just have to look up the watch.
Yep.
with the quotation mark.
Yeah, we're looking. It basically says talking about crime and other issues in our area. You put in a request, and we're not looking for people in Florida or Texas or California or something. We're looking for people that live here, so that they can share their experiences. Something happens to them, they can share it. Really don't care what's going on in Chicago. But if you're like Auburn, Opelika, Columbus, Russell County, even Harris County type stuff, Troup County, in the general, like a 45-mile circle around this, Phoenix City and Columbus, you're more than welcome to be on the page. And all your and once you get on, you can add your relatives. Yeah. And it's just, it's there. If you need it, if it's not your cup of tea, delete it. You don't have to be on there.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I think it was quite effective. I think you guys did a masterful job of, contacting each other and everything. I think it's kind of set the parameters for everything that we see now on Facebook, which was really, that's awesome. And it's all about crime prevention, and preventing the crime and the folks that are coming, both back and forth across the river. And like we said earlier, crime is not analogous to one side of the river. It crosses over. And we just need to be good neighbors. We need to, look out for each other. And I think that's the way I've always been, especially in my neighborhood. They call me the crazy cop down there, so nobody wants to come around. I've got a reputation down there, that's okay with me, folks. I don't care because I've had my my light bar shot out right in front of my house when I parked, or on the side of the house. So once the word got out there, that crazy cop's over there. Just remember, he's military dude. Never had a problem after that. Nobody ever come around.
Yeah,
so.
I think I've had one person show up at my house on a day that I happened to be off, and my son happened to be there sick with the stomach virus, and he came into disguise, came with his license plate covered up, and threw some bricks at the front of the house.
Huh.
And I'm just not going to go into a big long history lesson, but he didn't have a good day.
You chased them down.
Yeah, he didn't have a good day. He ended up in jail. And later there was a certain news reporter came out and tried to portray him as just a
Guy just walking the neighborhood.
an altar, license
An altar
tag
boy walking
covered
the
up,
neighborhood.
wearing a disguise, wearing a hoodie and everything, and it was like 80 degrees out. And he was just there joyriding,
Of course.
and decided to stop in front of my house and throw bricks.
Yeah.
And he was an outed pervert whose license tag had been copied by a member of the watch. He was followed home by another member. He was arrested on 4 or 5 counts, like 6 or 8 counts of indecent exposure.
Oh, man.
And that just started and then years later there was drug use and all this thing. He ended up shooting up some drugs, and he killed himself.
Yeah.
But there was a long between that first incident when he was hanging out at Walmart during the day and doing obscene stuff in front of women and kids. There was as long as your arm, and he was picked up in Muskogee, he was picked up in Russell, Phoenix City and stuff. And people wrote me letters later, and they're like, man, they had you all wrong. They tried to portray you as a vigilante and stuff. No, I'm just a guy that just happened to be home when some idiot showed up.
Yeah.
But he's the only idiot that's ever showed up. So
He definitely found out that day.
yeah. You don't, when you spend a majority of your career in the 82nd Airborne Division,
Yeah.
you pick up certain character traits, and one of them that you don't take well is people coming to your home and trying to do bad stuff.
Exactly.
So,
Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate you coming on board. And, I think we had a pretty good discussion here, and you're welcome to come back any other time. We've got a variety of guests that we're bringing on between liberals and conservatives.
Yep.
And we just had one on here not too long ago. We had a good discussion with him. And I think he realized that we're pretty closely related in our issues.
Right.
So,
I think across the country, we're starting to see that you have to earn a certain amount of stuff. You can't have everything given to you, and some of this socialistic mindset of we need to free stuff for everybody it's not going to fly.
no.
And
We can't afford it.
I know we're all broke.
We're broke.
I know our
we're-
economy. They've been taking
It's
everything.
now starting to recover. I mean, there's good things that are recovering with it, but you're absolutely right.
But I think we live in a good area of the country that where stuff like Antifa just doesn't fly.
No, that kind of problems that we've seen, and I wish we could have segued into more things about Minneapolis and stuff. But for another time we'll do that. But again, like I said, I appreciate you coming on board and spending time with us this evening and this afternoon. And you're welcome to come on board. And anybody else that wants to come on board in this program, just let me know. Send a note.
I would assume you have an open invitation to anybody on the city council to come down and talk.
Absolutely. If they want to come down, we'll bring them on board.
Has the mayor been down here to talk to you?
No, not at all.
And we're more gracious than people realize. We're not mean. We try to we try not to do the gotcha aha moments, because we want to be respectful, but at the same time we do want to talk about the issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah. But if you come on board, if it's a mayoral candidate, we've already had one on already, and if you're a mayoral candidate and you're a candidate for city council, expect to get detailed questions.
Yes.
Because what we're trying to expose is the fact that when you talk about safety and security, you talk about economics, you talk about different things, that's just not a buzzword. We want you to expand on what those ideas are, because I want the public to be well informed about who you are as a candidate. And that way, I've always said that when you do that, that's your report card. So when you come back, 100 days when you're in office, come down the line, you can say, check the block, I did that. Check the block, I did that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have a report card, report on myself.
Hey, did anybody ever get an answer to the whole free speech down around Macon Road, around the library type thing?
Jason,
Did that ever get worked out?
Well, yeah, they put signs up there and
Yeah.
they outlawed it, so they won't let him out there anymore.
Yeah.
But Jason's still, I mean, he's
Somebody's
still,
got to explain to me how a public library
yeah,
Is
funded by city tax dollars
yeah, exactly.
that you can't be out there expressing your First Amendment thoughts.
I know.
How does public property become private property?
Right, exactly. Well, it does when you call out somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing.
the bully,
So-
the main bully.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But folks, again, welcome. You're welcome to come on the program anytime. Let's just got in contact with me or Sarah Smith on the program, and we're going to call it quits tonight. And Sarah, if you would like to incline, take us out of the program with a quick prayer, please.
yes, sir. So, Lord, we just thank you for today, God. We thank you for our guest, Mr. Eric Woodson, God, and we thank you for all the things we were able to discuss, Lord. We just ask that you would just be with us, God, that you would be with our city, God. I do pray that you would just free us from a relationship where we have distrust with our government, where we are dissatisfied with the way we've been treated and the way we're handled and the way everything's expensive. Lord, we just ask for a freedom, God, that you would just remove the chains, God, off of Columbus. And God, that you would be with the mayoral race, God, that you would be with Eric and his group, The Watch, God, that you would give him wisdom and judgment on which posts to let go and to which posts to allow, God. And God, we just ask, God, that your presence just would just cover our city, Lord. Do a new thing, God. We're expecting of it. And we just thank you for just preserving us this far. We just believe that you're going to do greater in the future. And it's in your son name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Folks. And that's a wrap.